Despite the trade imbalances between India and China, Chinese imports still may keep on increasing. And why is that so? This is what we are going to discuss in today's video. Hi everyone, welcome back to Equipoise Classes. I am Surbi Gupta, and in these videos we take up one of the topics from a newspaper, and I normally refer to Mint newspaper. And we pick up an article. We directly read it from the newspaper to understand author's point of view, his or her emotions, and to understand what to read from the newspaper and how to exactly read a newspaper if we are a student or in any field or phase of life. So I'll quickly share the screen and let's start reading the newspaper and today's topic. Just give me a minute. All right. I think we are good to go. Yeah. So today's topic is why Chinese imports will continue to go up. Okay. So let's give it a read. India, India last month extended countervailing duties. So India increased the duties of 12 to 30% on certain steel imports. Okay, so we import steel from China and Vietnam, and just to protect our local producers because they were getting affected from cheap imports. So we did put countervailing duties on steel imports from China and Vietnam. Okay, so these were the requests from local producers to safeguard against cheaper imports. While the stance against Chinese goods is notable, okay, let me zoom in. Okay. Okay, so while the stance against Chinese good is notable, data indicates that overall imports from China are still on rise. So even though we are curbing imports, we are putting up duties, still the Chinese imports are on rise, while exports to the country are faltering. So what is happening? The trade imbalance between India and China has widespread or widened post-pandemic. So post-pandemic, post-COVID-19, the trade imbalances have widened. And in the first 5 months of financial year 2025, India's exports were only 12.4% of its imports from China, down from 15.4% in the same period last year. So last year it was happening at 15.4%. Now it was only 12.4%. So our exports to China are decreasing. The value of exports is decreasing. Okay. This is the lowest export import ratio in at least a decade. Since 10 years, it has been the lowest. Okay, barring the pandemic year, highlighting India's increasing dependence on Chinese goods. So we are being dependent on Chinese goods, but we are unable to export our products. So they are being self-sufficient, but we are still Chinese, like dependent on Chinese goods. A growth economy like India's naturally requires more imports to meet rising consumption and manufacturing demand. With cost and quality playing a key role in sourcing, China continues to be preferred supplier. Why? Because cost and quality both matters, and our population is such, is on rise, and our population is so huge that we are dependent on imports. Okay, for consumption as well as for manufacturing. So when the economy is growing, you require more imports. You import from best place that gives you the quality and price, and China seems to be qualifying on both of them. Okay, so China's dominance in India's import basket is striking, accounting for 15% up from 12%. So our exports are down from 15% to 12%. Okay. And the import basket is huge. It has been increasing from 12% to 15%. So it's like vice versa. Okay. So this share far surpasses that of other leading trade partners, including Russia and UAE. So UAE and Russia also do not have so much of share as we have of China in our import basket. We are importing more from China. Okay. So you can see through the graph, the export-import imbalance between India and China has grown in recent years. So export-import ratio is what you can see. It has been lowest in 10 years. We can see from 2014 to 2024, the export to import ratio is declining and has been the lowest. Okay. And then you can see within an ordinate share of India's imports, China is miles ahead of others. So this is the import basket, and you can see these are the countries: Russia, UAE, US, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, but China is way up. Okay, all the countries are still way down. Okay, this dark blue, let's see, dark blue is what? Dark blue is Russia. So Russia, then we can see this UAE, then US, then Saudi Arabia, and finally Iraq. Okay, so this has been given in the order. Let's see the MSME impact, micro, small, medium enterprises. Okay, so significant portion of India's imports from China directly impacts the manufacturing sector. Okay, making it difficult for local businesses to compete, according to experts. An analysis of trade data over the past decade shows that China has maintained a strong hold in. Let me just give me a minute. I'm trying to adjust and fit it in the screen. I think that is better now. Okay, so yeah, according to okay, an analysis of trade data over past decade shows that China has maintained a strong hold in several commodity groups where India's micro, small, and medium enterprises are heavily involved. So where we should take hold of or dependence, we should depend on MSMEs. But China has been dominant player in that sector, and China is providing us with the price and the quality, the products, and that is why our local people are suffering and getting impacted. Okay, so among the top 10 commodity groups in MSME imports, five have experienced sharp growth in past 5 years, with gold, precious metal, pearls, iron and steel seeing the steepest increases. We are importing these products, okay, and the import has increased sharply in 5 years. So domestic firms still recovering from the post-COVID disruptions, lack of scale and competitiveness to offer viable alternatives to these imported goods, perpetuating the cycle of dependence. Even in the MSME export sector, imports from China remained substantial in industries such as electronics and pharmaceuticals. So, where MS in the sectors where your MSME, micro, small, and medium enterprises does the exports, even in those sectors, in the export sector, the products are produced by importing the raw material or content from China, and we are still dependent on China for that particular thing. So experts say that special financial packages are targeted at MSMEs are needed to, at the need of an hour, that you should launch special packages that actually focus on MSME. Okay. So that they are able to deliver better. MSMEs lack competitiveness, which has been exacerbated by inadequate access to credit and technology. It is a well known fact that policy shocks since 2016, as you know, what policy shocks. So in 2016 demonetization happened, and after that GST, and there have been a lot many changes, then pandemic. So lot many policy shocks have taken place, and the pandemic had left this segment of the industry completely broken. Okay, so we need special package for them in the form of credit, in terms of technological know-how and infrastructure, to make them compete with countries like China. So this is what people are adding. Okay, so as you can see, MSMEs are relying more on imports from China for key commodity groups. What are the key commodity groups, and in what year? Like 2014 as compared to, so if you see the pink box, this has been 10 years ago, and 10 years later, we are much more dependent. Like for gold imports, now MSMEs are 49% approximately dependent on Chinese imports. Then as for pearls, you can see this has increased ahead. And then in the case of iron and steel, again, you can see the increase. And then further electronic goods, you can also see the increase. And even in the case of fertilizers, you're seeing an increase. Okay. If we see China plus one lag, so what is it? 4 years, after the pandemic now, China's economy, once the world's growth engine, it was, when the pandemic did hit, and it now remains sluggish. So, in a recent article, I'll tag the video somewhere here, previous week also, we discussed about Chinese economy and how China stimulus is going to help China and what it will be meaning for India. So that is what we discussed. And in that article, we also discussed that how Chinese economy has been facing a slow growth or a slowdown in their economy. Okay, so it was once world's growth engine, and now it is sluggish. Okay, so and what is being hit? The real estate market and an aging population. These two things are really bad for Chinese economy. Despite its vast consumer base and affordable labor, China is increasingly seen as unfriendly to foreign companies as it prioritizes domestic businesses. This has, eroded business confidence because Chinese economy is only focusing on domestic people. So why not other countries when they are unfriendly? So why not other countries also focus on their domestic manufacturers as opposed to China? So a 24 survey by European Chamber of Commerce in China, a non-governmental organization that advocates for European business operating in the country, revealed that European firms' expansion plans in China are at their weakest, with more companies choosing to shift investment elsewhere. People are moving out of China, especially the foreign companies that initially were investing in China because of the unfriendliness and because of this thing, they are choosing to move out. And that is why the European companies or businesses who want to invest in China, the basically that feeling is at the weakest. And as global companies seek to diversify away from China, India is expected to be prime beneficiary, offering a growing economy of similar scale. The China Plus One strategy presents an opportunity for India to reduce its dependence on imports by bolstering domestic manufacturing and better integrating into global value chains. However, Southeast Asian nations have emerged as the main winners from China's declining appeal as a foreign investment destination. So, if China is not winning the award of foreign investment destination, then the Southeast Asian nations are doing so. So, India still has the potential to capitalize on this shift away from China, but government efforts to strengthen local manufacturing have produced mixed results because our government is not still, like China's, is not willing to, like, we are open to FDIs and everything, but we still need to protect our local manufacturers. Okay, so domestic manufacturers have not been able to make use of these incentives through production link incentives to actually enhance their output so far, and the gestation period before tangible results are visible. So, hopefully, in the next 3 years, we should be in the position where domestic production should be able to substitute import from China, especially in chemical and electronics. Because why are we still dependent so much of China when already production link incentive and there are so many policies and strategies by the government to boost local manufacturing? Still, we are dependent and we are dependent on imports from China. So, but still, we are looking for, like, it's a gestation period, and we are saying that in 3 years from now, we'll be in a better position to substitute for China's imports. And as you can see, that Southeast Asian nations are the main beneficiaries of China's fading appeal, because if China's appeal is fading amongst the foreign companies to come and invest in China, so then they are moving elsewhere. So who's winning there? Southeast Asian nation are winning. Then Europe, India, North America, as you can see, still there's a lot to go for Japan, South Korea, and Africa, but and South America, but these areas are still winning. So as you can see, that this was the article where the trade deficit may have their imbalances, and the trade imbalances between India and China may worsen, and the export to import ratio is at its lowest, and yet Chinese imports are increasing. But how are we working towards it, and how foreign companies are choosing to move out their investment from China to other countries, and how Southeast Asian nations are winning? That was the entire discussion. And with that, I would want to wrap up this session. I really hope it was useful for you in some or the other way. Do share your feedback, that how are you liking these series, and also like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hardly 10 seconds of yours, and it would mean a lot to me. Every subscription really matters to me, and thank you so much. I'm truly very grateful to each and every one of you who decided to support me with your subscription and your valuable time that you're putting in this channel. Thank you so much, means a lot. Keep smiling, take care, take best care of your health, and stay healthy. Keep smiling. I'll see you tomorrow with another one. Till then, take care.